So let's talk about a place called Oakhaven. I mean, at first glance, it seems like your typical, quiet, ordinary town, right? But you and I both know that places like this, they're often built on a whole foundation of secrets. And for Oakhaven, well, those secrets are just now starting to bubble to the surface.
What we're looking at here is a perfect storm of mysteries. You've got this strange signal pulsing in the sky, these shadowy figures watching the town, and then there's this century-old secret buried right under everyone's feet. So the big question, the one we're trying to answer is, how in the world do these all connect?
Now, the ones actually digging into all this, it's not the police, it's not some government agency. It's a team of 5 local friends. They call themselves the Adventure Crew, and believe me, they've made it their business to solve the mysteries that nobody else in Oakhaven even realizes are happening.
And this isn't just some random group of kids. Each one brings something crucial to the table. You've got Sue, she's the leader, and she has this incredible eye for details that everyone else misses. Then there's Stan. He's their tech whiz, the guy who sees patterns and decodes puzzles. Grace is the team's historian, digging through old records and connecting the dots. Mia? She's the brave one, the explorer who's not afraid to go first. And Archie? Well, Archie's the people person, using his charm to get information. Put them all together, and you have a surprisingly slick investigative unit.
So this whole thing didn't start with someone knocking on their door asking for help. Nah. It all kicked off with one single, bizarre event that completely shattered an otherwise quiet evening in Oakhaven.
It all starts with this. A strange, pulsing violet light suddenly appearing right over the town library. Now, this wasn't some random flash of lightning. The crew saw it was pulsing with a distinct rhythm. This was a signal, and it was basically a giant glowing arrow pointing them to one specific place.
But see, this signal wasn't just some weird atmospheric event. The crew had recently stumbled onto something huge. Oakhaven itself is built on top of this massive, hidden mechanical system put there by the town's founders. Think about that for a second. This isn't just a town, it's a machine. And that violet light? It strongly suggested that a part of that machine had just been switched on. And this is where things get really interesting. We have to look at Exhibit A. Turns out, Mia's grandfather, years and years ago, suspected something was up. He kept this incredibly detailed journal, logging all these strange energy spikes and vibrations he was detecting around town. And this was long before anyone knew about the stabilization system.
And then bam, the connection becomes crystal clear. One of his last entries notes a mechanical vibration coming from directly under the library, the exact same spot where that violet signal is appearing now. It's like the past and the present are suddenly lining up perfectly. He was so much closer to the truth than he ever realized.
So, just as the crew makes the call to go check out the library, this whole mystery takes a really sharp, really dangerous turn. They realize pretty fast that they're not just solving a puzzle anymore, they're being hunted.
Suddenly, a black sedan pulls up on their street, engine running, but lights off. The people inside, the crew starts calling them the Watchers, are just sitting there, watching them. It's clear their little investigation has attracted some very unwanted attention, and the stakes just went through the roof.
All right, so their original plan to just walk over to the library, that's out the window. They need a new way to get there, and fast. What they come up with is this pretty ingenious and frankly daring escape plan designed to get them off the grid completely.
You're not going to believe this. They use a homemade zipline to drop down into Miller's Ravine, which is this deep, overgrown creek bed that basically cuts right through town. For them, it's like a secret highway, a way to move completely unseen right under the noses of the Watchers.
But their sense of relief doesn't last long. They spot a dark SUV, slowly and methodically patrolling the bridges that cross over the ravine. It's obvious they're being searched for. They manage to duck out of sight just in time, but the message is clear. They've escaped for now, but that net is definitely tightening around them. Okay, so they've managed to shake their tail, for now, and they've reached their target, the library. But getting inside after hours, especially with hostile parties around, that's going to take another pretty high-risk maneuver.
And their way in? It's not the front door. It's this narrow, rusted, and probably disgusting drainage pipe that feeds into the library's sub-basement. I mean, talk about claustrophobic. It's a tense, difficult crawl in total darkness, but it's the only way they can get in without being seen. So they make it inside, into this dusty old furnace room, and they immediately notice something that isn't on any of the library blueprints. There's a section of the stone wall that just
looks off. It's a false front. And what they find behind that wall is the source of Oakhaven's greatest secret.
And listen, what they found back there wasn't just some forgotten storage closet. It was basically the command center for the entire underground system. Imagine this, a secret workshop, totally untouched, perfectly preserved for over 100 years. It's filled with these old drafting tables, massive yellowed blueprints rolled up everywhere, and all these strange brass instruments. This is where the town's founders designed the giant machine they were all living on top of.
The place is an absolute treasure trove of evidence. They're finding the original blueprints for the whole stabilization system, all sorts of weird measuring tools, cabinets filled with engineering notes from a century ago. But the most important discovery is sitting in a small, velvet-lined box. A single, beautifully crafted optical lens.
And the purpose of this lens? It's just incredible. When they hold it over the blueprints, it reveals thousands of impossibly tiny markings, micro-etched instructions, and complex sequences that are completely invisible to the naked eye. The founders didn't just hide their workshop, they hid the instructions in plain sight.
Now, this discovery is a massive, monumental breakthrough. But as they start to decipher these hidden instructions, they realize that the signal they saw, it wasn't just a curious anomaly. It was a warning sign of a looming disaster. The blueprints reveal a terrifyingly critical detail. The whole system has to be activated in a very specific sequence. Sue realizes almost immediately that if someone, say the Watchers, started activating these components out of order, it could set off a chain reaction and literally destabilize the very ground the town is built on. But just as that horrifying realization sinks in, their time runs out. They hear a thud from the library floor right above them. Then another one. The slow, careful sound of footsteps. Someone else is in the library. And that is where our investigation has to pause for now. The Watchers are in the building, and they're closing in. The crew is trapped, but they're holding the only key to preventing a catastrophe. The entire fate of Oakhaven now rests on the secret sequence and on whether these young investigators can somehow escape with the truth before it's too late.